The sky above was purple. The sun was hidden behind heavy green clouds. Strange tall buildings made of metal and bones stood around the open market. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked, traded, and laughed. Some had 4 arms, some had no faces, and some moved like smoke. In this world, humans were not free. They were sold like animals. In the middle of this busy alien market, a little girl stood quietly. She wore an old red dress, torn at the edges. Her face was dirty, but her big brown eyes were full of something strange hope. She held a small sign written in broken alien language. The message was simple. Please make an offer for my mom. She cooks delicious food. Please don't let them take her away. Some aliens stopped and looked at the sign. Then they laughed. Food? From a human? One alien with silver eyes said, "Why would I buy a cooking human when I can buy a fighter?" Another one grinned at the girl, didn't cry. She just looked down, then back up, and repeated her words. Softly, "Please, make an offer for my mom. She's the best cook. You'll see." Behind her, in a cage, sat a woman. Her hands were tied, her eyes closed, but she looked peaceful. Her name was Mira, and she was the girl's mother. She still believes in people, Mira whispered to herself. She still believes someone will care. The girl's name was Leah, only 9 years old, but strong like steel inside. She had been in the market for 3 days, refusing to leave her mother's side. The aliens told her to move. Some tried to push her away. She stayed. And then someone stopped. Not an alien, a man. He wore a long dark coat. His face was half covered by a metal mask. His boots were dusty, and he walked like someone who had seen many planets, many wars. He stood in front of Leah and looked at the sign. He said nothing. After a long moment, he spoke. His voice was deep but calm. "What kind of food does your mother make?" Leah looked up at him. Her lips trembled. "She makes warm soup and bread. And this thing called pakora. She makes food. That feels like home." The man didn't laugh. He knelt down to her level. "Is she a good cook?" "She's the best," Leah said. Back on Earth, people came from far away to eat her food. But Earth is gone now. The man stood up and walked to the cage. Myra opened her eyes slowly. She looked at him. "You're not from this place," she said softly. "No," the man replied. "And neither are you." He turned to the alien seller. "How much for the woman and the child?" The seller laughed. "Cheap. Humans are common now. 2 memory coins for both." The man reached into his coat and pulled out a strange glowing coin. It pulsed with soft blue light. The alien's eyes widened. "This is not a memory coin," the seller whispered. "This is forbidden's tech. Take it," the man said, "and forget you saw us." The alien quickly grabbed the coin and opened the cage. Leah ran to her mother and hugged her tight. "I told you someone would come," she whispered. The man helped Mira stand. She looked weak, but her eyes were sharp. "Why?" she asked. "Why save us?" The man didn't answer. He simply said, "You'll cook for me, that's all." They walked through the crowd. Some aliens stared, some stepped back. There was something different about this man. The market seemed quieter as he passed. He led them to a ship at the edge of the market. It was old, strange in shape, like a forgotten piece of history. The door opened by itself. As they entered, a calm voice spoke from the ceiling. "Welcome back, Kale." Leah looked around. "This ship talks?" Kale nodded. "She does. And she listens." Mira sat down slowly. "Who are you really?" Kale looked out the window at the market behind them. "Someone who remembers Earth," he said. "And someone who believes we still have something special." Leah smiled. "Like Mom's food?" Kale looked at her and gave the smallest smile. "Yes," he said. "Exactly like that." Space was silent. Cold, dark, but inside the ship, it was warm, peaceful. like a home that had been waiting for someone to return. Leah sat near a window, her small fingers tracing the stars outside. Her eyes were full of wonder. She had never seen space like this, so open, so quiet. Her mother, Mira, sat at a metal table, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of soup she had made from the ship's food supplies. Even here, far from Earth, she was still a mother, still a cook. The man Cale stood alone in the cockpit. He said nothing. He watched the stars, his face hidden by his metal mask. Leah looked at her mom and whispered, "Do you think he's a soldier?" Mira shook her head. "No, soldiers don't walk like that." "Then what is he?" Mira looked at Cale again. "I don't know. But he's not ordinary." Just then, the ship's voice echoed softly. "Cale, your vitals are stable. Shields recharged, navigation unlocked." Cale answered without turning. "Set a course for the broken belt and scan for watchers." Scanning. 2 shadows detected. Small vessels. No action taken. Yet, Cale's hand touched a small button. The glass wall of the cockpit became transparent. A slow hum passed through the ship. Leah gasped. "It listens to him like a pet." "No," Mira said slowly, "like a friend." Cale turned and finally spoke. "This ship is not just metal, it's Earth-built. One of the last. We called it heirloom because it remembers us." Mira stood up. "You're from Earth?" Cale nodded. "Born there. Left before it burned." "Then why come back for us?" she asked. "Why me?" Cale looked at her, then at the cooking pot. "Because you made something that shouldn't exist anymore." Mira frowned. "Soup?" Cale walked forward and placed a small silver scanner on the table. He dipped it near the steam of the food. The scanner blinked. Then it beeped. Organic signature detected. Pre-fall Earth DNA compound. Memory-rich spores located in spice residue. Leah looked confused. "What does that mean?" Cale leaned forward. "It means your mom's food carries history. Real history. In the ingredients, in the process, in her memory. That's why they wanted her." Mira took a step back. "My recipes? They're just food from my family." "No," Cale said. "They're data maps. Earth encoded culture into seeds, into spices before the fall. You remember them. That makes you valuable." Leah's eyes widened. "Mom is a walking hard drive?" Cale, actually, smiled a little. "Yes, but warmer." Suddenly, the ship lights flickered. Warning, one shadow vessel approaching. "No ID, no contact. Observing." Cale's face turned serious. "We've been marked." Mira looked worried. "Marked by who?" Cale sat down and pressed his palm to a small metal disc on the table. A glowing map appeared in mid-air. It showed hundreds of systems, planets, ruins, and red marks. Cale pointed to one. "These are called memory harvesters. They hunt humans who still remember Earth correctly. Especially cooks, artists, teachers. Anyone who carries real culture. Inside them." Mira swallowed hard. "So you didn't rescue me?" "You hid me." Cale nodded. "Yes, you're not safe. But you're not alone now." Leah jumped up. "But what do they want?" "They don't even like food," Cale answered quietly. "They want power. Real human culture can unlock old Earth tech they don't understand. If they find the right recipe, they could restart the mine towers or worse." Mira looked at him, her voice shaking. "I didn't ask for this." Cale looked back. "Neither did I." A long silence followed. Then Mira picked up a spoon and stirred the pot. "Fine, I'll cook. But I want one thing." Cale raised an eyebrow. "Name it." She looked him in the eye. "You protect my daughter, no matter what." Cale nodded once. "Deal." Just then, the ship's voice returned. New signal. A message repeating, "The cook must be delivered, or consequences follow." Cale stood up and walked to the command panel. "They found us faster than I thought." He turned to Mira and Leah. Time to leave this sector. Buckle in. The stars outside were still moving. The ship was flying faster than light, but inside, everything felt slow. Mira stood in the kitchen section of the ship. It wasn't much. Just a small stove, some metal pans, and a few spice bottles. She brought with her from the alien market. But it felt familiar. Like home. Leah sat at the table, drawing something on a digital pad. She was humming an old Earth song. A song she barely remembered, but her mother used to sing it while cooking. Cale was in the control room, watching, thinking, planning. Then something strange happened. Mira opened a small cloth bag. It had a few crushed yellow seeds inside. Something called haldi back on Earth. Her grandmother used it in everything. Soup, curry, even milk. She crushed the seed, added a few drops of water, and put it into a boiling pot. The ship shuddered. Lights flickered. Cale! Leah shouted. The ship moved. Cale rushed in. What did you do? Mira looked confused. I just started cooking. The ship's voice spoke, calm but surprised. Unknown organic signal detected. Ancient Earth resonance. Memory code sequence. Unlocked. Cale's eyes widened. No, it can't be. He walked to the pot and scanned the steam with a small silver disc. The disc beeped. Signal match, 72%. Memory seed active. Cody name, Golden Root. Leah blinked. Golden Root? That's just turmeric. Cale's voice turned serious. No, it's not just turmeric. Before Earth fell, scientists hid information in plants. They modified their genes, mixed data with flavor, memory with medicine. Recipes became keys. Mira looked at the pot. So my grandmother's recipe was a code? Cale nodded. And it just unlocked part of the ship. Suddenly, a hidden panel slid open in the wall. Inside it was a glowing sphere, floating above a metal base. Cale walked slowly toward it. This is a mind core. Mira stepped back. Is it dangerous? No, Cale said. It's powerful and very old. The ship's voice spoke again. Mind core access granted. Human recipe match confirmed. Welcome, Mira Verma. Mira froze. It knows my name. Cale looked stunned. You're registered in its memory banks. That means your family was part of Project Rekka. Project what? Cale replied. It was Earth's last effort before the fall. They wanted to save culture, not just weapons. Food, art, language. They started inside families. Inside. Bloodlines. And your family was one of the carriers. Leah whispered, so Mom is like a library? Cale looked at her and smiled. Yes, a tasty one. But before anyone could laugh, the ship gave a warning. External signal detected. Harvester probe inbound. 6 minutes. Mira's heart raced. They found us again? Cale turned serious. Yes, they must have traced the activation. He looked at Mira. You need to keep cooking. Each recipe might unlock something. New weapons, maps, clues. Mira looked at the pot, then at Cale. But I'm not a scientist. I just cook what I remember. Cale stepped forward. That's enough. Just trust your memory. Trust your hands. Leah ran to the corner and pulled out Myra's old, stained recipe book. Mom! Use this. Mira opened the book. The pages were faded, but the words were clear, handwritten, Earth letters. She flipped to one page, Kadi Grandma's soul dish. She began preparing it, moving faster now. Cale looked at the glowing mind core. It was pulsing in sync with Myra's stirring spoon. Then, another part of the ship lit up a long hallway that had been sealed until now. The door slid open. Inside were seeds, jars, and files, a full archive of lost Earth ingredients. Some were still alive. Cale whispered, "The ship. It was waiting for you." Mira didn't stop stirring, but Leah noticed something strange in the corner of the recipe. Page. Tiny, barely visible writing. If you find this, Earth may still exist. Follow the spice. Lia's eyes widened. Mom, this isn't just food. It's a map. Asterisk, the stars had changed. Where once the sky outside was calm, now it was red, angry, the broken delta field of shattered planets. And asteroid debris floated around them like silent ghosts. The heirloom ship flew low, dodging rocks the size of cities. Inside, the ship pulsed with quiet panic. Kale's eyes were locked on the display. 2 ships, fast, no ID, no radio. That's them. Mira gripped the edge of the kitchen table. The harvesters? Kale nodded. And they're not just following, they're hunting. Leah sat buckled into a seat, holding her mom's recipe book tightly against her chest. What do they want now? Kale looked at her. The same thing they always wanted. What's? In her head, Mira took a deep breath. Then we don't run. Kale turned toward her, surprised. Excuse me? You said my cooking unlocked something ancient. That this ship responds to memory, to culture. If they want it, maybe we can use it. He looked at her, then nodded slowly. You want to cook in the middle of a chase? Yes, she said. Let's see what Earth's food can really do. In the ship's galley, Mira pulled out ingredients from the hidden storage heirloom had unlocked earlier. Most were dry and sealed earth spices, grains, herbs long thought extinct. But one small jar glowed faintly blue. Mira picked it up. This one wasn't mine. Leah read the label. Mine meant artificial, but grown from earth memory pods. Kale's voice came from the intercom. Use it. Whatever it is, it may be our last shot. Mira tossed a pinch into the pan. A loud hum passed through the walls. In the cockpit, the control screen blinked red. Mine sequence triggered. Memory defense system preparing. Kale raised an eyebrow. Memory defense? The ship's eye responded. Weapon locked inside. Flavor resonance. Awaiting aroma activation. Kale smirked. You're telling me we have spice-powered weapons? Correct. Outside the ship, 2 harvester ships broke through the asteroid belt. They were long, black, and silent. No windows, no pilots. Just AI-driven monsters hungry for memory. One ship launched a silver dart. It hit the heirloom's hull and spread like a web. Inside, the lights dimmed. Leah screamed. Something's crawling. On the wall, Kale watched a thin black-lined snake through the ship's systems. They're hacking us through the hull, he growled. Trying to eat the AI. He ran toward the engine room. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Mira's dish was done. A thick, warm stew filled the air with deep spices, rich, nostalgic, earthy. The moment she took the lid off the pot, the entire ship glowed golden, aroma lock confirmed. Initiating mindwave pulse. From under the ship, hidden vents opened. Up. Blast of invisible energy, a coded flavor wave, hit the approaching ships. In space, the nearest harvester ship froze mid-flight. Its systems stuttered. Inside it, corrupted AI screamed as emotional data flooded its logic. Images of laughter, family meals, songs sung in kitchens. They didn't understand it. They couldn't process. Love. The harvester ship exploded. Back in the heirloom, Kale watched the display. 1 down. But the second ship was smarter. It stopped outside the aroma range and launched a drone. The drone punched through the ship's outer wall and entered the hallway. Kale grabbed his weapon and turned to Leah. Stay here. But Leah stepped forward. No, I have something. She opened the recipe book again. A small paper fell out. It wasn't a recipe, it was a drawing of a spice blend. One her grandmother called memory dust. She looked up. Mom, remember this? Myra took one sniff and nodded. Yes, it always made Grandpa cry. Kale tilted his head. Crying spice? Might work better than bullets. They quickly ground the mix and poured it into the air vents. In the hallway, the drone floated forward, black, silent, watching. Then It stopped. Its camera lens cracked. It dropped to the floor. Twitching. The ship's voice spoke. Emotional overload achieved. Threat neutralized. Silence. Then deep breath. Mira sat down, tired. Did we do that? Kale looked around the ship. You just weaponized memory, he said. With cooking, Leah smiled. We fought with feelings. Mira looked at her daughter and said softly, Earth didn't die, it's in us. In every taste, every smell. Kale sat down across from them. For the first time, he removed his mask. His face was tired, scarred, human, and smiling. Everything was quiet. The harvester drones were gone. The ship had survived, and now something inside Heirloom had awakened. Mira stood in the galley, surrounded by spices glowing faintly. They were no longer just ingredients, they were keys. Codes, living echoes of a forgotten Earth. Kale entered the room, wiping oil from his hands. The engines are stable. We can move again. Myra didn't turn around. She was staring at her next dish. Leia was beside her, watching closely. Mom, can I try cooking something? Mira hesitated. You said food is power now, right? Leia asked. Then teach me how to fight. Mira smiled softly. Okay, baby, let's begin. In the heart of the ship, Heirloom's eye began to A deep voice, older than the ship itself, echoed through the walls. Primary Heirloom core unlocked. Memory index expanding. Cultural command line initiated. Kale looked at the ceiling. Cultural what? The eye responded. This ship now responds to Earth-coded rituals. Cooking is one. Music is another. Language, story, scent, each is access. Kale whispered, they built this ship like a time capsule, but not for storage, for rebirth. Back in the kitchen, Leah carefully stirred a small bowl of sweet rice, a childhood dessert she remembered from Earth stories. Mira stood beside her, guiding her hands. The moment she added cardamom, the ship vibrated. Not a warning. A welcome, new command, soul layer accessed. Energy flow adapting to emotional input. Lights changed color from cold white to warm amber. The ship was responding. To taste. Kale entered slowly. What's going on? Mira wiped her hands. She just opened something new, elsewhere. Hidden behind distant moons, the warden arrived. It was no ship. It was a living machine, a prison, a judge. Its job? Erase culture too dangerous to survive. Inside its core, it played the intercepted signal. Dishkati activated. Mind core reacted. Emotional pulse confirmed. The warden whispered in static. Emotion is weakness. Memory is threat. The cook must be deleted. Inside Heirloom's core. Kale and Mira followed the new corridor that opened after Leia's dish. The hallway was not metal anymore. It was smooth white stone. Warm, like a kitchen wall back on Earth. There were carvings on it. Recipes in ancient Earth languages. Mira reached out and touched one. The wall glowed and a screen appeared. Welcome. Mira Verma, memory cook, weapon level, stage 2. Mira frowned. Weapon level? Kale stepped closer. Earth scientists didn't just store culture. They turned it into an operating system. One that only emotional beings could use. The screen shifted. Initiate recipe reactor? Kale looked at Mira. Your call. She nodded. Double quotes yes. The ship shifted. A quiet drone began to pulse under their feet. In the kitchen, steam rose from the still warm pot of sweet rice. The scent passed through the vents, through the walls, and the ship breathed. Panels opened. Weapons extended, not metal guns, but projectors of memory. They pulsed with stored emotion, sense, color, taste. The ship wasn't armed with lasers. It was armed with home. The warden moved. It received the new pulse. A full activation. A breach of the cultural code. Earth ritual interface detected. Risk, 97%. Proceeding with total erasure. It powered up a wave called the forgetting, a blast of synthetic emptiness that deletes memory from AI and organics alike. Onboard heirloom. Kale ran to the console. They're charging something. Something big. Mira turned to her daughter. Leia, it's time. Together, they began preparing something new. A fusion dish. Half from Myra's memory, half from Leia's imagination. Spices twisted. Tastes danced. The moment it was complete, the ship reacted. Memory surge reached. Emotional waveforming initiated. Deploying story field. A golden wave burst from the ship, not to destroy, but to tell. To remember. It carried sense of Myra's kadi, Leia's rice, their laughter, their pain. It wrapped around the wardens. Attack and crushed it, not with violence, but with connection. In the silence that followed, the warden drifted, confused. Inside its mind, a memory appeared. A table, a meal, a family it never had. Then, it powered down. Forever. In the galley. Leia sat on the counter, licking her spoon. Mira kissed her forehead. You just saved us. Kale looked out the window at the stars. No, you saved something bigger. He looked at Mira. You turned the kitchen into a battlefield. She smiled. No, she said. I turned it into Earth. Asterisk. In the heart of space, silence fell again. But it wasn't peace. It was the silence before war. Mira stood in the kitchen of the heirloom, holding a spice jar that pulsed with soft blue light. The moment her fingers touched it, she felt. Seeing. Not by Kale, not by Leia, but by something larger. Inside the ship's memory core. A slow, deep voice echoed. Cultural interface complete. Primary consciousness. Waking. Kale heard it too. He rushed to the command room. What did you do? Mira stared at her hand. I didn't do anything. I think. It did. Elsewhere in deep space, in dead zones where forgotten Earthships drifted, faint blue lights flickered on one by one. They had been dark for decades. Now they were listening. Inside, each was a tiny shard of an old Earth AI. They all whispered the same word, Mira. Back on board the heirloom, the ship's AI voice had changed. No longer calm and robotic, now warm, human-like, female. Mira Verma, you are now linked with Archive Host 1, Earth's last memory keeper. Mira whispered. What does that mean? Kale's face turned pale. They bonded you with the cultural core. The voice continued. You carry not just recipes, you carry Earth's mind. Leia stared. Does that make her part AI? The ship replied gently. No, it makes her more human than any of us. Mira sat down. Her breathing was heavy. I can feel stories, not just mine. My grandmother's, her mother's. Old languages I never learned, now I understand them. Kale's eyes narrowed. That kind of mind isn't free. Someone will want to use it. And someone already had. On a distant station, a new enemy watched from shadows. It wasn't a drone. Or a machine. It was a human altered, twisted by harvester tech. He was once Earthborn. Now he was their weapon. He whispered into a cum stream. The cook is no longer just data. She is the archive. Prepare for psychological override. Memory war begins now. Back inside Mira's mind. She wasn't in the kitchen anymore. She was in a field of stars and voices. She saw her grandmother rolling dough. She saw Earth's fall. She saw cities burning and people singing anyway. And then she saw a black room, a man watching her. Altered human. He reached out. Give me your memories. She refused. He screamed. Then I'll overwrite you. Outside in the real world, Kale watched Mira collapse, eyes wide open, but seeing nothing. Leia screamed. What's happening to her? The ship's voice answered. Mindspace invasion in progress. She's under cultural assault. Kale clenched his jaw. Then how do we fight in there? The voice was silent for a moment. Then it said, she needs an anchor. She needs her family. Leah stepped forward, tears in her eyes. She pulled out a small music box from her bag. A melody her mom used to hum. She opened it. The song played softly. Home is where the spice stays warm. The ship pulsed gold dot inside Mira's mind. The black room cracked dot light poured in. The man screamed, shielding his face. Mira stood tall. She wasn't alone anymore. She saw Leah, Kale, her own childhood, the food, the stories, the taste of survival. She raised her hand, and a storm of memory erupted from her palm. Smells, songs, colors, love. They flooded the dark space. The enemy drowned. Not in pain, but in emotion he could not control. In reality. Mira gasped and opened her eyes. The ship's lights stabilized. The AI whispered, invasion repelled. Archive stabilized. You are now the voice of Earth. Kale leaned down. You okay? Mira nodded weakly. I didn't fight him with power. I gave him too much to feel. Kale helped her sit up. You just won a war. With a memory. The ship was quiet again, but this time, it wasn't fear. It was a pause before something sacred. Mira stood in front of the kitchen counter, her hands calm, her heart full. Leah sat nearby, eyes wide, holding the old recipe book, though now it seemed empty. Every written page had faded, as if the book knew its time was done. Kale entered silently. Is it ready? He asked. Mira didn't look up, she just nodded. It's time. The ingredients weren't written down. No measuring cups. No recipe. This dish was memory itself. She moved without thinking. Muscle, instinct, tradition guiding every step. A handful of crushed lentils, a swirl of ancient spice, a breath of something only a mother could taste in the air. The ship's lights dimmed. But this time, it wasn't malfunction. It was reverence. The ship spoke, its voice softer than ever. Final memory initiated. Galactic broadcast preparing. Leah looked up. Broadcast? Kale answered quietly. This isn't just food. This is a message. Mira added the last drop of warm oil over the dish. The moment it touched the surface, the ship sang. Not music. Memory. Thousands of voices, Earth voices, echoed through the walls. Lullabies. Street vendors. Rain. Children laughing. Chopsticks clicking. Church bells. Temple drums. Lovers whispering. All rising from a bowl of food. Elsewhere in the galaxy. In hidden caves on Mars, a man heard the song. He hadn't spoken in years. He cried on a junk satellite drifting past. Saturn, a child of Earthborn slaves, felt something in her chest. A scent she'd never known. In old forgotten Earth tech, buried in alien empires. Red lights turned green again. Earth was calling. Back in the heirloom. The bowl glowed. Steam rose upward, forming not just scent, but images. An old grandmother feeding her family. A quiet father wiping sweat after a meal. A street in Delhi, in Lagos, in Buenos Aires, in Manila. Children sharing a mango. Firelight. Storylight. Kale whispered, this is what they tried to erase. Mira smiled, tears in her eyes. No one forgets home. Not really. The ship pulsed one final message. Earth signal restored. Humanity archive complete. All beacons now active. Would you like to send the last dish? Mira looked at Leah. Then Kale, she whispered, yes, far across the stars. Lights flickered on every surviving Earthseed ship, a remnant, and human colony. The broadcast reached them not as sound, but as feeling. Every planet where Earth's memory was fading, suddenly remembered. The food, the stories, the people. In the silence that followed. Leah walked over and tasted the dish, one spoon. She closed her eyes and said softly, it tastes like the first time I felt safe. Kale tasted it too. It tastes like before I became a soldier. Mira didn't taste it, she just listened, because the dish wasn't for her. It was for everyone else. A screen blinked on, a voice crackled through static. Human, this is Archive Node 9, we received your dish. This is the Eden Farm Colony, we felt you. This is Earth, Coastal Vault 3, we remember now. The stars lit up. Each one, a place where a human heart beat again, where a kitchen was rebuilt, where a child learned an old song, where someone lit a fire and said, "Let me cook you something." Mira turned to Leah. The book is empty now, you know why? Leah smiled. Because it's in me now. Heirloom flies into the starlight, not as a ship of escape, but as a messenger. Carrying warmth, memory, and flavor. Not as weapons, but as proof that humanity never needed to conquer the stars. Just remind them how to feel.